Today we're going to learn about points, lines, and planes. We're going to learn what they are, how to name them, and what an example looks like. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a point. All right, a point is represented is we know what that is. It's a single dot on the screen. It's represented by a single letter. So if I was going to name this first point, put an A above it. If I was to label it, I would call that simply. I would simply call that point A. All right, it's labeled with a capital letter. Some people will write it with they'll literally just write the capital letter and then over a point. Either way of those are acceptable. All right, a line. A line extends in opposite directions without end. Okay, it consists of 2 points. All right, need to have 2 points to make a line. So in this line here, if I give it 2 points, put a point there, and put a point there, label this point A and B. All right, so this is a line. Now, a line, if I call that line L, it can be labeled with a single letter or using 2 points, all right, with the line symbol above it. So if I was going to label this line, I'd call it line L. Oops, I could call this line L, or I could call it line AB. I could use the 2 points on the line with the line symbol above it. All right, if I wanted, I could also call this line BA. But I need that line symbol above. Let's make that a little cleaner. I need that line symbol above those 2 letters. All right, next we have a plane. All right, a plane extends in two dimensions, extends either way, kind of infinitely like a line. I like to think of a plane as like a piece of paper. It's 2-dimensional. All right, a plane can be represented by a single letter or by any 3 letters that are on the plane. So if I was going to give this plane some points, all right, call that point A, call this point down here B, call this point over here C. All right, so if I was to label this point, I could use a single letter. All right, in this case, I could call it plane P, because that's what they labeled it here down in the lower corner. All right, or I could use any 3 points, okay, but I need capital letters. Now, I don't have to put a symbol above it, but I can list them in any order. So if I was going to call this, I could call this plane ABC. All right, now collinear and coplanar, and I've obviously put points there in parentheses. If you're talking about collinear points or coplanar, that word co, you've probably heard it before, co-worker. That's someone that works in the same job as you. All right, collinear points simply means points on the same line. Okay, so I'm just going to put same line. If you hear the term coplanar, well, and if they're referring to points in this case, or they could be referring to lines, but coplanar again means that idea of same, co. So it's just going to mean the same plane. All right, a couple more things we're going to look at. We're going to look at a line segment. All right, a line segment is simply a part of a line. Okay, it has endpoints. So in this case, you can see the 2 endpoints in the end of this line. I'm going to again use letters A, B. Now, if you're going to label this again, you're going to use 2 capital letters. All right, order doesn't matter. So I can call this A segment AB. Now, above that, we need the line segment symbol. We don't want the arrows on that. Or I could call this BA. Either name is acceptable. The next shape we want to talk about is a ray. A ray is, again, part of a line. It consists of an endpoint and all the points in one direction. So here I have 2 examples of a ray. Now here, labeling in order is extremely important. So this first one I'm going to call AB. I'll put another point right here. And this one over here I'm going to call BA. Okay, so when I'm labeling the ray on top, you have to list the endpoint first. So this ray right here, we would call AB, because I'm listing the endpoint first. Now I need the arrow above it. Okay, the arrow going, just the ray symbol. All right, not like the line with an arrow on both sides, just the one, just like a ray. And then this one at the bottom, I have to start with the endpoint, so I'm going to call it BA. Now, I know in the picture my ray points to the left. When we label it, we always just kind of do the ray symbol to the right. So we call this BA. Hopefully that doesn't confuse you too much. Then finally, opposite rays. You can already see it. It looks like there's a line drawn, but that's what opposite rays create. All right. It has an endpoint. In this case, we'll call it C. And then it goes in each direction. It goes to the left. We'll call this one A. And we'll call this one B. So if I was going to label these opposite rays, again, you have to start with the endpoint. I'd call it ray CB and CA. So there you have an introduction into generic, some basic geometric figures that you are going to see in this first lesson.